Welcome to another episode of the Planet Coaster series, and feeling much more motivated and inspired than I was the last time I was working on this save. I did a little bit of looking around on just Google Images for pirate themed stuff, and I found a building someone had made for a game that I thought looked really cool. So I'm going to be drawing some inspiration from that. I'm going to be making this corridor down the side of this build and having the shops turn inward so you can walk past the shops and get in there. Thinking about it now, it probably wouldn't be very effective. I mean, there's only 2 shops and a bathroom eventually, but still the traffic down that path isn't the smartest, but I don't mind. But I'm going to also then end up changing, I think, the bottom floor of one of the other buildings to kind of match the same stone, just because I really liked these arches. I would have kept it the wood, except for in that pack, it's square arches that kind of match a more southern, western kind of feel, which was not what we were going for. So I'm going to first try out this very red, rustic, stone-looking walls, which I do really like the look of, but it kind of is really contrasted to the wood of the rest of the town, you know? And so I'm actually going to be switching it to sandstone castle pack or something like that. So it's going to be much more dull stones, but it's going to take a bit for me to get there. I was pretty okay with this for a while. The biggest thing I'm going to later try to put some kind of divider between the wood and the stone. And it's just I'm not going to find anything very useful, and that's going to make me want to change it. But here I was trying to put one of those, cloth awnings, I guess, over that porch, but it just was not working out. It would have worked better, except for the supports of it were sticking out through the wall, so I had to get rid of it. And here you can see we're looking through the different types of supports that I was trying to have as the divider, and I really like the idea of having these because it has the underneath support, as you can see as I'm turning it around. And what I was going to do was have the upper floor kind of pulled out so that it had overhung the lower level. But then I realized that the roofing wouldn't work, because the way the roof works is specifically to this layout of the walls. I could have moved those walls out. I could have made that work or doubled up or something, but I just don't know how I would make the roof work well. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might know a way I could have done it, but at the time I hadn't found this section of roofing extras that give free overhangs, because certain objects in this have to be on the grid, and you can see these walls and stuff, they'll snap and you can't turn them outside of these right angles. But there are a couple of things in this menu that are free, kind of the decorations and stuff, so I guess I could have used one of those, but again, I hadn't really seen those yet. At this point I realized that both the shops I had placed had not been attached to any of the sidewalks, and so no one had been able to use them. And I also switched out for that sandstone, and you'll see that it looks much better in comparison to the wood and just the surrounding area. I'm also going to be using this material to build up a wall to kind of make this feel like a more established city, I guess. Here I was trying out a different this is a boundary fencing thing for this side attachment to the build. I don't actually remember what I settled for. I think I use one of those things again that's not attached to the grid to make a ground, because everything that does snap there sticks out because of the design of those edges. So that's a little unfortunate, but it'll do. I don't mind. It was just a little extra work. Here I'm kind of looking for other decorations and things like lights to add. I'm going to be putting 2 of these in the corridor area, and I think it'll end up looking really nice. The camera, by the way, the the day I was recording this was a pain in the butt. And you'll see it even more later, but like there's two different modes. There's one that kind of spins around on a central point, and then there's one where you kind of become like the camera, so you can like push forward and it'll go forward wherever you're looking, kind of a deal. And I had to keep switching between those to get into making sure those lights were right, and then later it's going to get so messed up I can't even move the camera really, so I don't know how that happened, but I eventually managed to get it reset. But this is going to be that freestanding wood that I'm going to use to create a balcony porch thing that someone could stand on if they wanted. I might have somebody, one of the pirates, standing out there, we'll see. I'm also trying to kind of flip these so the pattern isn't super repetitive, and what's really nice about it being in a build is I can copy several things and move them all at once together, whereas if I hadn't been attached to a building I would have had to move those individually, which is still very strange to me, but it's how it is. So yeah, I managed to get it so that those weren't poking out in any weird places, and it made it look really nice. Here I'm going to be switching out that whole lower floor to kind of mimic the other one. I do leave the big shack that we built a couple episodes ago alone. I'm only going to be switching out this build, and then the other one will just stay fully wooden. I kind of see it as if there's a second floor, then I would put it on there, but the shack kind of just looks like a really big one-story-ish, maybe like a one-story with a basement, but here I'm trying to kind of decide where I would want that wall to put around the town, and I couldn't really decide what I wanted it to be aligned with. Like, do I do it with that building we just built? Or do I align it with the entrance? And that's what I'm going to end up going with, and that's what this square is I used select the grid, selected something at the very entrance here, and then I just moved over until I could place that. And then I realized that's kind of the natural grid, like when you pick up an item it is on that grid pretty close at least. And so that's what I'm going to end up sticking with. And then we have these big old arches over the paths, and we're going to carry it over in both directions for quite a distance. I'm going to be placing the two arches here. Oh, it was kind of lining up weird, and so I thought maybe I needed a way to make it 3 wide, but there's not really a very good way to do that. But I do manage to get it to look nice with the 2 wide, so in the end it works. And then instead of having it all one continuous building, what I'm going to do is make copies, as you can see there, and then try to line them up, because again, the only angles I could go at are, you know, right angles, and I wanted something at a different angle than that, so it has to be a completely separate building to line up the way I want it to. So I'm also going to be taking another copy of this in a little bit and applying it to the other side, but right now I'm just getting rid of those arches that don't have any purpose quite yet. And then I'm really not sure what to do with this front end of the ship, because I do like it, but it was poking through the wall, or it's sometimes too close to the queue, and now that it's been turned it doesn't really make sense in the context of the butt of the ship. I guess I could try changing the shape of the other end of the ship to maybe match. I'm not sure. Here I'm throwing in a bathroom because while I was zooming around I saw a group of people who really needed to go to the bathroom, and I realized it's kind of a distance. Not awful, but it's, you know, from the big building there to the one in the back before they can get to a bathroom. Here I'm trying to make sure that this wall is perpendicular to the other angled wall because I wanted them to kind of mirror each other, so I was trying to align it that direction. These walls are actually going to change quite a bit, just because it feels a little small at the moment. Especially over the arches, that area is very thin, and I don't think it would last very long. So here I kind of wanted a way for pirates to like pace, because I think there's some pacing robot machine things, so I thought it'd be cool to have one of those pass going back and forth along this wall, and it might also give it a more it doesn't look too thin, so it looks like it could actually work as defense, but having a normal ceiling, it's very big and it's not quite what I wanted, especially because at this point I wasn't sure how tall I wanted it to be, and if I had put a normal square it would cut into that ship that's right up against the wall. So I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna... Oh, and then I found these little signs that come by default with certain rides. And so before I could forget, I was just taking the ones that we do have and sticking them next to the rides they belong to so that later we can kind of fashion some kind of sign with them. Here I'm checking for some kind of garbage. There was a lot of complaints about the litter, but I just don't see it. Like every time it's like, oh, this litter's disgusting. And I'm like, where? Where are you seeing this garbage? Because I'll fly along the path and I just don't see anything. So added a couple more garbage bins towards the beginning. There wasn't really any, and I did see 1 or 2 pieces of garbage. And right there, I saw a message that's like, people can't find a staff room to be in. And I looked, and there was like 1 person in one of them and 2 people in the other. I'm like, I don't know what's the problem, because there's not that many people who should be using those staff rooms. I also needed to put some of the wall underneath because the sand's so uneven, so I needed to fill out the bottom and end up also adjusting its height just a little bit because like this wall was just barely floating. And the other problem was those arches, because there's nothing to kind of add support, and so it had this weird chopped off bit where it floated, so I had to lower all of that wall to make it so that at least the arches were flat on the ground. Here we did a bit of a time skip because I was trying to figure out what kind of decoration I wanted to do, and I was testing out a bunch of stuff and I didn't want to keep you guys just watching that over and over. So what we've added are these cool looking supports, and this was going to support the walkway, but I'm actually going to end up changing them because I do feel like the bottom of the wall looks incredibly thin. And there is a wall piece that works really nicely to kind of make it look like there's more support. So I'm going to put this guy underneath to add a bit of depth and support to the wall. Problem is, like on this side, I think it's only on this one, when you would try to snap, it was snapping to the same wall as the main wall. And I had no way of making it snap in front. Because if I flipped the support, the thick one, it would be backwards. So I ended up having to take the wall and completely flip it so that the bottom portion could match, and then move these supports back and adjust it so it all lined up well again. I don't know what to do with that little space, but we'll see. But yeah, I do for a little bit think that I also need to do it on this side, but so I'm going to take the time to get all of this selected and turned and everything. That's not going to be the case. It actually was working fine. It looked like it wasn't aligning correctly, so we're going to get that figured out here in a minute. And then if it does kind of look like the thicker bottom part is too close to what will be supporting the walkway, but I am going to add another piece of height, not a full one though, because that just kind of walled off everything in the park, which seemed a little weird. So it's doing a 2 high one, and then I will be scooting all of those walkway supports up to reach the top of that, and I do think that makes enough space between the 2 outside decorations. What is kind of annoying is, and I'll see it in a little minute, those will actually snap up to that height, and so manually adjusting them was kind of silly, but they do snap a bit in the wall, so I do need to adjust them that direction, but unfortunately it would have been easier to have skipped all of this and just place them along that wall in the first place. But you know, that's just how this kind of game goes, is there's a lot of testing to see what will work, and sometimes it means you gotta do a lot of extra work. So here I'm looking at how wide the default is, just not liking it. But I changed gears here, and I'm going to be adding some decoration to this little weird gap between the arch and the wall. It wouldn't really make sense to have anything but greenery here because it's looking at a wall, you know? Like, why would you have that walkway there if it didn't have a nice view? So I'm going to be putting a lot of different types of plants and some flowers and some rocks and stuff just to make the walkway look very nice. And I'm going to end up working on that wall in the next episode, finish off with like the walkway and putting more pirates in and everything. I'm just happy to be a bit more inspired this time around. Alright, welcome back to the live bit. Still don't know what to call it. I was watching a video and I was like, oh, I might as well work on this while I wait for this to end. So I was thinking about maybe something along this line as the walkway, though it is occurring to me that it should probably have some sort of protection. Like, nobody wants to be just walking up here if there's enemy around, you know? Just makes you a giant target. So I feel like maybe there should be some kind of wall for the wall. But then it makes this feel kind of pointless unless this supports it. I don't know. I'm still thinking on it. But I do like this piece just, okay, 100% because of this right here. Because then we can turn the corner and have it match this build. So, I don't know. It was snapping. Wait. It has a really weird snap point. But sometimes it does snap on its side like these. So, I think it would go perfectly along this corner, same as there, and so I really like that. There might be other ones besides this wooden one that might work. I'm not sure, but I'll have to take a look at that in a bit. I'll go ahead and be done building that for now. I'll just leave that there as a reminder for myself. Let's go ahead and not have that paused. So let's go ahead and see where we at with our objectives. We need to attract 1,000 guests. We're up at 800 and the happiness is about 95 and it should be above 70, so we're good there. We need a better park value, which we're working on, especially because I still have more kind of general decorations I want to do. I think having some pirates patrolling this will look nice, and then I kind of want to maybe have something going on here where there's a fight, so from this side we have some people attacking the pirates, so I think that might look nice. I've also considered maybe having a tower right here, because there is like a big giant bell, and I think that would be cool as like a warning system to the rest of the city that there's something happening if there was a bell. I also considered, and I do think it looked really nice, having, let's go with the sand, and there's the columns. This guy. So I had it right here, and then I had it turn, and it looked really nice to have this tower thing right here. The only problem is I don't know where I would put it over here. Like, the more that it's been done, being built, the more I'm like, kind of wish I had done the wall a little different so that there was like an even across and an even corner, but you know, just because I want everything to be symmetric, I guess, doesn't mean that's how things are built, you know? It would make sense that in a pirate town things wouldn't be on a grid and perfectly square, you know? So while I like that, it wouldn't really work here, I don't think. Might be worth checking out. Let's get a little closer here. Can you not be... okay, there. So we might be able to do something like that, but it does cover this doorway pretty heavily, so that's why I was kind of leaning towards not doing it, even if I do like the look of it. But maybe the like clock or bell tower might make sense there. I mostly want to cover this weird gap that we're getting right here. As you can see where the two supports are. And then you don't get that over here because it's right up against the arch. So, yes. What are the hard objectives? More guests, a higher park route, 15 vendors, so we need 4 more, which isn't too bad. And then train 10 staff to expert. Oof. Okay. I haven't been really training them all that much. That said, I did create some rosters. So if we go under staff and to the rosters, here we have the pirate village, which covers this area, and the entrance, which will cover right here. I'll probably have one covering this side over here, and then maybe a separate one here, or we'll just have a really big pirate area. And I've assigned, there's 4 shops and 8 staff members, and then 3 shops and 6 members. I tried having 5 vendors for this area, So there's 3, and then there'd be 2 to take up when they go to rest. And then I have, let's see. Let's zoom out a little bit because they're a bit loud. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vendors over here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shops. So there's that. Is this other one a drink as well? Yes, but I don't think there's someone in it right now, which is a, oh no, there is. So yeah, there we go. And then Hat's Fantastic is in there as well. So we got little flags on here, and I'll be adding more of like this around, like the overall things to tie the whole area together. I'll be adding together soon, hopefully, to just make it all nice and cohesive. That's where we're at. What are our guests thinking? How's that going? It's funny because when I didn't have a shop, one of the highest was the complaint that I didn't have a hat shop, like a gift shop. But now that I do have it, they're like, I want to do something fun. I don't want to shop there. I'm like, then why did you want it? We also have a problem with queues being too long. I might come back to this some other time, which I'll be looking at. And then not having enough money. Why don't people want to come back? Oh, because it's just a pretty big line. Got it. And while I was working, I checked to make sure that the prices were good. That's interesting. I must have accidentally undid those signs because I didn't pick them up, but they're not there now. So don't know what that's about. Unless they were attached to a building on accident, then I moved that building. So if we find random ride signs in walls or something, that's probably what happened. Let's see, I probably should place at least one so that I don't forget. That's under building, custom wall signs, theme, ride. And then we'll remove that guy. So let's get this over here. Yep, so that we don't forget. And then we have this guy for this ride. Set that right there for now. Not bad. What's this guy? Wow, that's creepy. Look at that. So yeah, these are fun. I like the art of them. I am waiting for us to get this ride, the ship ride, but I don't know where it's at. Speaking of which, let's check research real quick, and that'll probably be it for this episode. Yay, thrill the cube. And then we have the Bumpin' Derby and Athos. That's pretty good. So I'm just gonna keep on going through these rides. Hopefully we'll get it soon. It doesn't look like it. Unfortunately, they don't put like the actual name of the ride on what you're researching, just kind of a general about-ish. I don't know. Who knows? So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.